Speaking of this delinquent
Okay.
report, Madison.
Okay, welcome to the City Advertising and Promotion Commission Workshop for November the 10th at 5 p.m. in the auditorium. First thing that we're at the end of the year, we've got budget review for 2020, and I just want to remind you guys that we can't approve that until January. So we can't actually do an approval on the budget, but we need to be ready for that approval. So we have two sheets here that are budget. This is the budget that was given to us by Paradise. Here you'll see this page, and then you'll see this page here, which Scott,
Is that in
will you come up to the mic, and then that's so that way we can
one? Okay.
look at this. And so if you look at this sheet here, we've got the first line is the 2021 budget. I just want you to be there, so if I make any boo-boos here or whatever the second is what we've actually spent so far this year.
Correct.
What we're projecting we're going to spend, and then this is 2021 year total for the year, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then the column here, this is 2022 budget. So this is the column that we're looking at, and we're comparing it back to the first column. It's this one. It's this budget right here.
It should be on the back, last page of that packet I handed out.
Yeah. And so we're projecting, in our last meeting, we said that we were going to project an income of 1.7855 is what we're projecting here. And you can see we've got that broke down. Scott has done a really good job, and he's really worked hard to get this and look at all of our numbers over this last week and a half. And you can see this is where we're expecting all of our income to come from. So I'm just going to let you guys look at that, and let's just go over anything in that stands out to you guys that you want to talk about, then let's just go over it. So.
Why did you project the event sales lower than what we had this year? Because we didn't do so good this year?
On the event ticket sales,
Yeah.
based on the budget of 2021 of $35,000, that's a number I wanted to be conservative with. I didn't want to over-project our income.
Okay.
That's the reason I moved it to 15,000.
I hope we over double that.
I do too, but I didn't
next
want
year.
to put us out there too far.
Yeah. I think we were just trying to be conservative.
Correct.
Sure.
In that number.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I want to point out, our budget this year, we based our budget on a 1.575. That was what we based our budget on. But we're actually going to, we don't know exactly, but we're going to bring in about 1.8. So we're going to have surplus. We'll get to that later, but I just want to point that out here. There's going to be a surplus somewhere in this $300,000.
Sure.
Right. Okay, so that's income. Anybody else, anything we'll talk about on that income? We'll start moving to this next section. Okay, expenses. We got this next section is our expenses in our media, and we can, you can kind of see guides and postage. There was a $25,000 there. We projected next year $10,000.
I see we got 60 grand for website maintenance. What's that all about?
Well, you're too far down. We haven't gotten through this meeting part
okay.
yet. Let's just do one, if you don't mind. Let's do one
No,
section
no
at a time.
problem.
But we do, just to answer your question, we have to rebuild a new website for next year. So we're going to build a new website next year. That was part of our 3-year plan. Our 3-year plan was to build a website.
Are we going to be able to get our domain name from that guy?
I have a feeling we will. Sorry. I have a feeling we will. I mean, he's been cooperating,
Okay.
so it should be fine. And I would really like to, have access to that domain registrar. The Madison and Molly, need to have those logins.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you,
So-
do you not have it, Patrick?
No, I do not have the registrars, the domain registrars. We have ability to log into the host, and the hosting servers, but we do not have the registrars.
How do we get them?
I'm guessing we just need to ask Frank.
Okay,
So we do own those.
Yeah,
It's not going
okay.
to be an issue to get them. We own them, so we'll get them.
And it shows in the
Yep.
registry and the
Yep.
Whois database that we own them, so there's no,
Oh,
Yeah, so we're good.
okay. Oh, yeah, we're good.
So to go back to this, above this, right?
I was worried that he owned them, you know.
Media, we still have the museum contract, media buys, we have media buys here. We have our printed materials, also radio. I mean, you can kind of see all of what we're going to be buying in our media for next year.
Now,
And we have a total for that.
media buys, is that some that goes to Paradise?
Some of that does, not all of that.
Yeah.
If you look at this budget over here that Paradise gave us, you'll notice in here that we wrote the numbers where all of these are going to be coming from.
oh,
You guys-
thank you.
Yeah, you see that? We wanted to make sure that we knew exactly where everything was coming out of. So we have a media buy here for Paradise that's $400,000. So and it comes out of that line. So you can see that 5,004, our line here is 5,004, okay?
Yeah,
Okay, so it
Okay.
kind of lines up, so that's why I wanted to kind of look at it. It
Okay.
explains where all the money's going. Any questions about this expense media section? Okay, and then we have production. So here's where we have the website. We know that this year, now we do have, if you notice, this line is 5,005. We do have some maintenance that's already scheduled with Paradise here for $12,000. That's part of the maintenance that they provide us for that. But we're going to need a whole new website, not only for the .org site, but the auditorium.
totally agree. Yeah.
So we'll have to come back to that number. We also need graphic production and we need video production this year. And this money here is to be spent for TV commercials or for pictures or whatever we need. And that's, of course, at the discretion of,
Okay, the graphic
Of-
production.
of Madison for them to create.
Pardon me?
That's at Madison's discretion for her to pick what she needs there based on her needs for marketing. And then you get a total production number. Anything else on that section? If not, we'll just keep on moving. Then we have our special events. Special events has been money that we've spent. You see here we have Festival of Arts, Music in the Park, Folk Festival, Drumming in the Park. I did go ahead because we spent money with Mardi Gras that was really outside of our marketing support. I went ahead and put money in here for Mardi Gras, but it's really a decision that you guys need to make if we want to go ahead and fund that here. Fireworks is something that we left in the budget. It was something we did last year. And then we had Christmas, but after kind of discussion with Madison, and Madison, you can weigh in on that. We kind of felt like that we really needed this money to be allocated for the holidays, which really starts with Halloween and goes all the way to the end of the year.
Sure.
Instead of just saying it's Christmas only, we kind of needed to
There's a big quarter four push that I think needs to happen every
probably
year.
turn your mic on.
I'm just short.
If things are less contagious next year,
Right.
we'll have the zombie crawl again.
Yeah, and it would be great to be able
And,
to.
they sold 7,000 trolley tickets 2 years ago.
Wow.
That gives you an idea how many people, they had to allow food trucks because there weren't enough restaurants to feed all the people that came for
my gosh.
zombie crawl.
No, it was bad.
Yeah, so I like the idea of it being holiday events, not necessarily just Christmas. That way we can.
Yeah, we may need to add to that but that's okay.
Yeah, this is a place to start, and that's kind of what the budget is, a place to get us rolling. And so any questions on any of that?
The only thing is, well, I'll talk, it's later in our, Music in the Park I may want to up because I'd like to extend that season with that, but I'll talk about that when we get to
Okay.
another thing in the workshop.
Okay. All right, and then, of course, all of our normal events in there, I do have drumming in here. We've pretty much stayed what we've done this year. And, we're actually, even by doing that, we're spending less money than we did last year, or this year. We're spending a little bit less money, but I feel like we're getting everything that we want. But we might want to consider adjusting some of that once we get into the year and we see where things are going.
Right.
Sure.
So page 2, group travel, this is an area, and I'm going to let Madison kind of weigh in because we're going to be redefining that. So Madison, can you give us, we funded it for $15,000, but
Sure. It needs to be, like you said, it needs to be redefined. So I'd like to have maybe until our December meeting to be able to talk to you guys a little bit more about what I want, and that number might change. It might go up or down. I think some bus tour associations came out of there, some other things similar to that. I'd like to look at the ROI on spending X amount of dollars on these bus tour memberships.
Do you have your mic on?
I do.
Yeah.
I'll move it closer. Anyway, so I'd like to kind of look at our ROI on what we've been spending this money on and if it's really beneficial to us. Anyway, so that number may go up or go down. And if it's okay with you guys, I'd like to be able to kind of give you my recommendation on that by our December meeting.
Yeah, Melissa, didn't you say a couple of years ago that the CAPC voted to give group travel to the chamber?
It was, yeah. Was it in one of their links or something? Was it in one of their links?
No, you just said you read in the minutes of a meeting.
Oh, yeah, I think it did. I don't remember where, but yeah, they
There's
did.
only 3 hotels that can handle group travel,
Right,
and they advertise big time themselves. And
right.
I don't know,
And,
we really need to,
it needs to be redefined.
yeah.
And so what we've talked
Yeah.
about is that group sales needs to be redefined, and group sales, I think traditionally was a bus, right? It was a bus of people and they came in, but I feel like group travel is, in my opinion, has changed to where
Yeah.
now it's a group travel really should be considered like a car club or,
Right.
you know what I mean, a group of people that come.
oh, yeah, not bus loads.
It's not a bus
Right.
load, and we need to figure out how are we going to interact with them. And I think that's what the challenge is redefining that so that it actually really works and we're working
Right.
with, because the groups are still coming. They just come different.
Right.
You know what I mean? They come in 60s cars.
Yeah,
And in
like the
VWs.
weekend was huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we're going to
Yeah.
give her some time to redefine and do some research.
Yeah, come to think of it, I know there's been frustration, like the VW people last year before last, were very frustrated because they got no response.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And nobody knew anything, and they bring 500
Right.
people, 1,000 people here.
Yep.
So, yeah,
Well,
now that I understand.
Yeah.
One other thing, too, in the travel, either, Madison, maybe a commissioner, maybe Molly, there are conventions that we should go to and should be seen at, but, Madison can come up with that, so I kind of like the travel, leave that a little fluid.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And that's why we went ahead and funded it a little bit. We didn't feel like that 0 was the right number, obviously.
Just contacting car clubs and
That would be good for us.
clubs.
Yeah.
And just helping them just really being a good partner with them and a liaison, really a person who could do that. And I think that's what this group travel will kind of maybe move towards, but
Right.
Madison will.
It can be mixed with events too, because, they want a parade, and
Yep.
then we're going to
Sure.
have to
And then-
coordinate with the city to,
And then that gets us to the auditorium expenses, okay? And so this year, we had auditorium expenses, we had $113,000 for this year. We've increased that a little bit, but to your point, we really think that number's going to go, it's not going to go down, but we're actually going to fund that a lot more on its own with more shows. That's the goal, right? The goal is
Absolutely.
that we don't have to spend $121,000 out of our budget, that the auditorium begins to create its own revenue, right? And so therefore, we hope that this 121, that we spend that, but we hope that the income side for the auditorium really goes way up.
Yeah.
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 So that's the hope there.
Depending, if we get the elevator in and we
Yeah.
can spend some money downstairs to open up a bar and
And
all that.
the reason why that number went up is because you can see we have capital expenditures here. We did put a little bit of money, that didn't exist before, and that $20,000 needs to go for tables and chairs and whatever needs that we have to do expos or conventions. And so there's a little bit of a change there. So I just want to point that out to you guys. That, but we expect it to make its own money. That's-
Yeah, we'll
that's-
probably have to actually add a little bit to the capital expenditures.
But we'll do that probably out of surplus. I'll show you that when we get to the end.
Okay.
Okay, so that's total auditorium. And then we have basically all of our office expenses. I'm going to start at the bottom because there was a line that we didn't have, and we didn't have a line for insurance and for legal fees, which we do have insurance, and it was coming out of, Scott, is this correct? I think it was just coming out of office contingency.
Correct.
Is where that money was coming from, and we felt like it needed its own line, and we needed to fund it to make sure that we had insurance, and that occasionally we do get advice from the municipal league, and we pay for that service, so. And then the rest of it, you guys can look at, and if there's anything in here you see that you want to talk about, that we can.
I would like the salaries and benefits, I think that needs to go up. It's kind of become, to me, painfully obvious that we are going to have and need 4 employees, and you get what you pay for. Scott has been absolutely priceless,
Yes.
and the girls have done a really
Even
good
though we put a
job.
price on him.
And we are going to be hiring, receptionists. It's kind of we'll be talking about that
So
tonight.
here's what I recommend, is that actually, if you look at the very bottom down here, you see that we still have, we're $38,000 short of our budget, which our budget was 1.785, right?
Right.
So my recommendation is that we take this 38,500 that we still have left, and we put it into this, add it to this 180 for salary and benefits.
Okay.
It's not going to get us completely to that number, but then we don't have to move anything out of any other area.
Oh, it gets us to that number a little over, but yeah, I like that. I think with everything we're doing, we are going to end up with 4 employees. I was kind of hoping that it would be 3, but it's become painfully aware that we do need 4.
So that was, what is that, 218, so we're real close.
Yeah, I was
Real
thinking
close.
like 200,000, but yeah, I like leaving that.
So Scott, will you update that
Yes.
for us so that shows that we added that to there? Anything else on office expenditures? We do have, I just want to point out, we've got capital expenditures there. Now that we are beginning to move the office, we're really starting to see some areas where we're dated. Phone systems are out of date. We're going to need phone systems. We have computer systems that are definitely out of date. There's a few things there, so there's some capital expenditures, and that's what that money will be used for, is, a phone system and a few computer systems.
We'll be connected with City Hall for the first time.
Yeah.
That's true.
We actually, Jerry was able to just walk over this afternoon and talk about the payroll, because our payroll is tied to the city. And it was just really nice. We're so close together that they're able to just walk back and forth and take care of just day-to-day business. There's no driving, there's no any of that. So, and it works out,
Yeah.
it's working out pretty good. I think parking has been okay for you guys. Has there been any issues? Scott and I just walk. We just walk to the auditorium when we, so,
We're downtown.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the budget, guys. Anything? I mean,
No,
Okay.
absolutely excellent, Scott. Thank you.
yeah.
Well, it's a team effort. We
Yeah.
all talk together, and
Good.
we always choose the best ideas and present them, and we always try to promote our town. We love our town.
Yeah.
So
Well, thank you, and thank you, Madison and Molly.
So there are a couple things I need to point out because they're not in the budget and we have to pay them, okay? So if you look at this last page, Scott, we currently have a reserve, an account that's our reserve, and that reserve is, how much is in that? 303, is that what that is?
The balance in that account is 275,304 right now.
275? Okay,
And
there it is.
the last month, it was 311, and we paid 75% deposit to 101 Mobility for the
That's right.
lift.
Yeah.
So there's things that we have to pay that are not in our budget. They're capital expenditures. The beam support is one of those. We have a payment that we have to make to the city every year,
Okay,
okay? And then we do have website development, and we're nervous, I say nervous, I don't know what that's really going to cost. We've gotten an estimate from Paradise, and that estimate is anywhere from $85,000 to $110,000.
That's too much money.
Well,
Wait.
it is a lot of money, and so we
No, it's not a lot, it's too much.
need to discuss what we're going to do there. So I did talk to another destination local to us or in our region about their website. They have a wonderful website, it's very effective, and they did spend $126,000 on their website. So I was just trying to get a number comparison to see where we're at.
Yeah.
Obviously, I have websites and I've built websites, but this is a different,
animal.
it's a different thing, and we really have to do well. So tell us, so if we do that, what we did is that the beam support, the payment to the city for the first year, and then if we do the website development, that would have to come out of our capital expenditures that we would do, but it would be out of either our surplus that we have, or it would be out of the reserves. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
But we're already spending a lot of money on a new website, and then,
Yeah.
Patrick, what do you think about all that?
I think that price range is more than I would have expected it to be, with my experience. But if you roll in all the other things, because website development is not just building a website, it's making sure that it connects. It's making sure that your search engine optimization is there. It's making sure that all of your tags and meta is working for you to get you out there, to show up in searches, to be intuitive. So there's a lot of background stuff that has to go into making a website work, and that is where extra money does come from, and it's something to take into account. So it's just one of those things, we need to start talking to people in the business and get a real gauge, draw them a site map of what we're looking to accomplish with this site, and then get some real pricing on it.
You know,
Right now, it's all just numbers in the air.
How do we advertise for
one of the
that?
things, one of the resources that we have is the University of Arkansas. And I know from my experience of talking to them, like with the social worker thing, although the rest of the council did not like it, we could have gotten a free social worker this year that was just graduate intern. Contact the university's IT department and see if they've got someone that,
I've used the university for our business in the past. I'm not opposed to reaching
I
out to
think
them.
it's a great idea.
Say we talk to a lot of folks, but
Okay.
So
How-
it
would-
does help to find, just like our ad agency specializes in DMOs, I think that we need to definitely look into companies that have done tourism before, that understand it. And that's that's a little more money, because they're specialized, but you get what you pay for.
Yeah,
I think too, with our website, the creative is going to be very expensive.
Right.
Because we have a lot of creative, I think, that needs to be done. There's going to be a lot of pictures that are going to need to be taken. There's going to be a lot of that's going to have to take place. But here's what I would suggest. Now we can decide whatever. I would leave the budget as it is, which is $60,000. I would leave the budget as that, and then I would like to ask Madison to go out and let's visit with have her bring us 3 or 4 website companies, some from the corridor. Maybe we'll reach out to some others and see who's built their site.
Yeah.
And let's let them bid on it, and we'll also let Paradise take a look at it, and we just see who has the best approach for us.
Okay.
But we have to do that pretty quick, because we really got to make a decision.
Is
We
there,
need to get started on our website.
I can just hear a whole bunch of griping about all the
Okay.
money we're spending with
Okay.
Paradise.
how, Jeff, also, how would we, like we advertise for jobs, is there a way to advertise for websites? You know, maybe, is there, you would know that, Patrick.
I tend to seek out.
Okay, all right.
That's always
Okay, well,
been my MO.
you're the expert.
There is, I mean, there's places where you can go on and tell them what you want, and all these companies
Mm-hmm.
will bid on it. But in our case, I think we're going to want a very specialized
You
service.
advertise it, and you're going to get every developing company
Oh.
in India.
Oh, okay. No, I never
It's
thought,
best to, find by referral.
Okay.
And seek out.
okay.
Yeah, what I would like, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
What I would like to do, and where I think I'll start in my research, is I'm going to go to DMOs similar to ours.
Absolutely.
And then if I think that their website is good enough for us, then I would reach out, and if they're forthcoming with information, I think that's where I'll start, anyway.
Well, one of the things that I would recommend, and I used to recommend this to my clients, is much like in interior design, an interior designer is going to ask you to go build a wish book. Go find all the things that you like about that's out there, and then add to that your wish list of what more could you possibly want, how could it work better for you, especially back-end systems for you guys, and have that book ready.
Yeah.
We already have a style guide. I mean, that's an easy part for them. The content management that Jeff's talking about it's a big deal. You can't just poof and find stuff. You have to have custom content.
You do.
And
For
it's
what we're doing.
vitally important.
Yeah, and I would suggest that we really get photographers. And
Absolutely.
we send them out. I mean, that's going to be a big expense.
Yeah,
but
when
we
you're
really get
doing,
the pictures we need.
a random business, you can pull from stock, photography of,
We have some of the
And
best
that is a bad
photographers right
idea.
here in
We got
town.
good photographers.
but it's, using stock is a bad idea for a place like this. We've got some beautiful sites. We're going to find some great photographers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
So we're good to start here, okay? What I'd also like to propose to you guys is that we meet the very first business day of January, which I think is January the 3rd, because we need to approve our budget, and we need to approve it really the first day that we can, and we
Okay.
can't approve it until the 1st of January. So,
First meeting
Third,
past the
third.
first meeting of the council.
I've already got it.
No,
no, we need
Yeah.
to do it before the council
we
meeting.
can approve it before council, but we present it to the council.
That's right. So I'm
I
looking
remember
at,
griping about it last year, that's all.
No, that's because they passed it in November.
January 3rd?
right, we passed
Yeah.
it. So I'm saying January 3rd. Is anybody, and it would just be a special meeting, and we would just do the budget?
Yeah, I don't have a problem.
Okay.
I've got
I'm
it.
going to schedule that, and if we do that, we probably, well, we can talk about that later. Okay. Carol, I know you just came in, I know you told me you were going to be late. Is there anything on here that we need, on the budget, that you want to go over or talk about? Okay. Good. So, group sales, I'm going to let Madison take over. We have group sales, and we have that position open. We'll let her talk about it, and I think she's given us some paperwork, too.
Okay, so Karen has retired. I've kind of started looking at the job that she fulfilled and trying to revitalize it and redefine it. So I have a job description for you guys.
Okay.
This is something that I've made up. I've asked Molly and Scott their opinions on it, if they have anything, that they would need this person to be utilized for them. So if you guys don't mind taking a look at that and telling me if you have any additions or any wordage changes, salary changes, pay scales changes, if you don't mind just looking at that for me real fast.
It'll just go to Madison.
Okay.
Now, this is somebody that's going to be in the office full-time, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So this will be a full-time position. They will, I have an office coordinator on here, so they'll be handling a lot of those reception duties, administrative duties.
Collections?
So they will help Scott a little bit with some of that.
Well, I mean, the collectors come
Sure,
about
yes.
any time of
Yes,
the
yes,
day, so,
They will be they're kind of the face of our office. They'll be the first point of contact if you walk into the auditorium for the CAPC.
Okay.
But we're saying that they're going to be there 9 to 5,
Yeah.
except for lunch.
Yeah.
Right?
Right, so they'll be kind of
Yeah.
manning
Well,
the office.
wouldn't it be like 8 to 5, because, or do we pay for their lunch? Because they usually get an hour off for lunch.
Scott could tell us maybe.
Excuse me, the city hall closes from 12 to 1, so we might as well adopt their hours to start with, but I do think somebody needs to be here at 8 o'clock.
I do
I'm
too.
usually here, I try my best to be here by 8, and
Yeah.
we do have customers.
Yep.
8 to 5. Okay.
with an
Okay.
hour for lunch.
And the $18 an hour would be right around 38, and I think that's a good starting point, because you get what you pay for.
Well, one of the reasons why the city hall closes at lunchtime, because there used to be someone left in that little desk in front to answer phone calls and take water bill payments and so forth. And since there was nobody else in there, someone would come in there with their gripe, and they would unload on that person. And there was no one to come to their rescue.
That can't be true. It can't be true.
Not in this town.
Yeah, I mean, we can close our office from 12 to 1.
Is your mic on? Just make sure your light's on. Push that button there, that clear one. Yeah.
This position is entitled to benefits, am I correct?
Yes.
Yes, it would be a full-time position.
All right, so that includes health, medical, all that stuff, plus they'll be entitled to retirement. So I think we need to keep that in mind as part of the value of this position. I really love the idea that this person might be available in the lobby area, because so many people come into the lobby. Have you thought about that might be a good place for this person?
Yeah, that's my plan. I like the idea of someone coming in the front doors, and they're there to be able to, even visitors, so not necessarily a tax collector. There's many times where people come in, tourists come in, and they ask, what's going on this weekend? Or, what's going on a month from now? I'm going to be back here this date. I really like the idea of this person. I would like someone with a big personality, someone bubbly, someone with some service work, who can hand out promotional materials. Molly makes these really great graphics each month that has what we know is going on for the month of December, right? They would have those up there to hand out. I like that idea, that they're kind of, like I said, like the face of the CAPC office. And that goes into, they're here Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, right?
Right.
They're here during our office hours.
Now,
My-
we're not talking about this lobby.
Yeah, my only issue with that.
This lobby here? No, I don't like that idea.
What about that little,
The ticket booth.
is there enough room to have a small office there?
It's very small.
Okay.
You have to
it's
stand up.
difficult to turn around.
I would rather see if you kind of want your own area, partitions, and have her or him way up at the front of the office with the door.
It's got to be in the office, because
Because of
We've
the
they're
shows.
gonna have a desk, they're gonna have-
we've actually talked about using the front of the lobby, the landing area,
Yeah.
as a place where we would have brochures and things like that. This position is going to be very busy. There are going to be a lot of people
Right.
talking. This person is probably going to be on the phone a lot. I think you need to give some thought to the fact that you're going to be having meetings in that office. You've got a conference-type table, and you guys are pretty busy. Anyway, I really think you should give some thought and maybe talk about it with whoever we end up hiring. I would see the person maybe wearing a Eureka Springs T-shirt, or, some sort of, something that makes them recognizable. But in my experience, when people come in, they almost automatically go up the stairs.
So
Right.
that's what we've run into.
Right.
They walk into the doors, the front doors, and they immediately go upstairs.
We can,
My only
Okay.
deal is just with
Well,
all the events and everything, we're going to be moving it in.
we can put a chain across there with a sign that said CAPC office downstairs. Because if you've got them sitting up here, then what happens when we have a show?
So there's a closet that their desk it locks. So things like a computer or files, it would go in there.
But
And
they're not working.
And we don't need to
so-
heat and cool up here all the time. So, the weather, it's not as comfortable in that lobby as it is downstairs.
Well, I just think, Madison, you're the boss, you should give it some thought and maybe talk to your staff about what you think would be the most effective way to serve the community as well as meet your needs.
Right. I mean, if you are in your office, I would say that we do get petitions and barricades and stuff where you have your privacy.
We do have the ability to operate as a visitor center. So if we decided that we wanted to have someone who could greet, and we're talking about them greeting tourists around the street, right? They come in, we have a sign outside that says whatever,
Tourist information.
tourist information, whatever it says. And they can come in. We have the ability to operate that way. We also have the ability to sell them a T-shirt that says Eureka Springs, or a keychain,
I
or
would
whatever,
love to.
or even give them a bag
Right.
that says, hey, here's a bag full of coupons for the community. We have a lot of options there if we do that.
I don't know if you've ever been to the Bentonville Visitors Bureau or Fayetteville, but they both have really lovely, large rooms that you walk into. Their offices are upstairs in both occasions, I think. But they're very nice. There's at least one person, sometimes more, there to answer questions. And basically, the room is a bunch of information that you can go around and select.
It's brochures.
Which would also be something very nice to have available when we have a show.
Yeah, Bentonville actually they have space in there where if they have artists that have their art in there. Now, I don't think it's for sale, but I think it just points to the artist. And so they've actually done that pretty well. I'm not advocating one way or the other, to be honest with you. I think that next year, we really should put on our agenda if we want to operate some as a visitor center. And if we do, what does that look like, and how do we do that? But I don't think that's probably today's discussion, but I do like the idea of somebody being greeted in the lobby. The office downstairs can get very congested, but either way.
Well, we've got a visitor center at the top of Plainer Hill. The city has. Do you have a floor plan of the offices downstairs?
I'm sure I could find one. I personally do not right now.
Oh, yeah, well, they'd probably do a floor plan and how you're going to lay things out down there.
Oh, I see what you mean. Sure.
Yeah.
Yes, we've discussed it.
I mean, you could put a Dutch door in there so that the person that's answering the phone, somebody can come up and they can go greet whoever it is at the window, or even cut a window in over to the left of that. But I just can't see something up here. There's just not enough room in the lobby, because when you have a show, and there's 1,000 people
I
here.
believe she said that the
This
desk
not-
would be removed and put
Yeah,
into
they're
a
not-
closet.
They're not there during the time of the show.
Huh?
They're not going to be there during the time of the show.
And the desk
This
would
is a
be
9 to
removed.
5.
And shove the desk into the
Well, no.
closet?
You moved it into the
It's a
closet.
portable situation.
All right, we'll talk about this. We'll come up with a solution.
Any changes to this, you guys, to this job description? This is something we really need to, I've got it in our agenda for the meeting. Any changes or anything you want to change
No,
on this?
I want to get on it immediately.
Yeah, okay. So let's move on. Melissa, you requested that we talk about Basin Park, and I've got it on the agenda here for us.
At our city council meeting, Scott, the director, Scott Misko, came in, and our band shell is about to fall in, and there's a incredibly good chance it's going to have to be rebuilt. And they're looking at about $500,000. I mentioned that I would put it on our agenda for discussion, we can fund some things. What I would say, if we consider funding, giving them some money, is that it's a barter system. We have the music series. Madison, or Molly, do we pay for the band shell?
No. Okay.
But we have some kind of barter system. We get something out of this, because we would probably give them a good chunk of money if we decided to do this. But I think it's one of the hugest focal points of our town. It's basically in all our, websites and ads, and I would like to utilize it more than we do. So it's just something to put on the burner.
I've had several really good conversations with Kevin Ruley and the chairman of Parks, I feel like Parks is still trying to figure out exactly what that whole, there's a lot more there that has to be fixed and repaired.
Right. We would only, the band shell.
I know they're working to put together a whole plan, and Kevin has been great to come and update us whenever I've asked him to. So at whatever point that they feel like, I'll stay in touch with Kevin.
Okay.
And at whatever point he feels like that he's got a plan that they're going to execute, then I'll bring him and we can have that discussion.
Yeah.
I think we need to make sure that Ron is included in any of those meetings, because his equipment is often damaged by the dampness there.
Right.
And he should have some input into how the storage.
To the AV.
Yes,
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
The power is in very bad condition. It's dangerous right
Oh, the
now.
whole thing's.
Yeah, and it really, that part of it really needs to be taken care of. That's a liability for us if we book people, and it's certainly a liability for the city if someone gets electrocuted.
Right.
There's also a problem in that it's over the spring, so it stays wet a lot. It's actually built over the original
Yeah.
spring that drew people here.
Right.
The other thing is that the Arts Council, and they're pre-planning for next year, and they've been talking to Parks, is very interested in, on the interior part of the new shell, should there be one, they want to make sure that there's something very artistic there, not just a blue wall, and involve local artists in that, and that also needs to be part of the larger plan.
Yeah, and we have to, we can fund this, but we have to also be very careful about this.
We can fund anything that's tourism, brings in tourists, we can be a part of. We cannot be a part of anything that would be considered infrastructure for the city. So
Right.
there's a line there, and I would highly recommend that before we allocate any money, that we make sure that we are on the right side of that.
Yeah, that,
Right.
So,
yeah.
This place here is right there in our,
it is,
yeah,
yeah.
so
We can do
we can
stuff.
do that to this building,
Yeah.
but
Right.
that's not part of this building. And
That's right.
and that's, it's kind of a tricky,
So I think
financial.
I think it's a good idea, but honestly, I think that the parks and some of their planning, they need to figure out for sure what needs to be done and what.
Right.
And then I think I think this
well,
commission is
yeah,
glad to help.
wait till we see what they do.
Yeah, and so we'll keep that updated, and we'll update that as that comes along. Okay, that's all I have for the workshop. We can just take a 10-minute break, and then
all
we'll
right.
come back, and we'll have the regular meeting. James will be here for the meeting.